Drupal is an open source web development software. It belongs to a class of software known as Content Management Systems or CMS for short. Drupal is an enterprise grade software suitable for building small, medium, or large websites and applications. Out of the box, Drupal supports building a wide range of websites, including blogs, news portals, and corporate websites. And with its vast number of open source contributions from the Drupal community, it can be extended to create advanced solutions like e-commerce platforms, social networks, and complex web applications. Drupal powers popular websites such as Tesla, The Economist, Taboola, Udemy, Verizon, and several universities including Columbia, Rutgers, Minnesota, and Toronto. In general, to install Drupal, you need a few components including PHP, a web server like Apache, a database, Composer, and an IDE or code editor. In this video, I'll be using Visual Studio Code, which is free. Specifically for Drupal installations with Docker, you only need to download and install the Docker desktop and an IDE or code editor. These other tools come packaged with Docker, so you don't need to download and install them separately. Docker has solved that problem of too many installations. We'll learn more about Docker later. As a side note, I'll only be installing Drupal in this video. There are plenty of excellent resources out there to help you with the installation process for Docker and your preferred IDE or code editor. Let's quickly go over what these components are and how they work together with Drupal. PHP by definition is a server-side scripting language. It's basically a programming language that's super useful for web development. To develop web applications with PHP, you need to install the PHP interpreter. This software executes and translates your PHP code into instructions your computer or server can understand. The PHP interpreter can do a lot of stuff like access the database, respond to user input, send emails, manage the file system, process form data, encrypt data, and integrate with APIs. So how does Drupal relate with PHP? Drupal is primarily built using PHP. It simplifies some of the low-level complexities involved with building web applications from the ground up using PHP. For example, Drupal has a database abstraction layer that eliminates the need to write SQL queries to connect to the database and perform CRUD operations. Drupal also speeds up web development with PHP by simplifying repetitive tasks. For example, it provides a user interface for managing users and content which you can quickly customize as soon as you install the software. Sometimes, however, you may need to customize or extend Drupal to fit your specific needs. The Drupal ecosystem includes thousands of contributed modules from developers. And if that's not enough, Drupal itself is highly extensible. You can write your own custom PHP code and plug it into your Drupal website architecture. The web server is responsible for processing every request sent to the backend of a website. For every action you take on a website through your web browser, for instance, entering the URL of the website, clicking on a link on the website, inputting your login information, a request is sent to the web server that manages the website. When the web server processes that request, it sends back a response to your web browser and your web browser displays the response to you. This response may be in the form of showing you the page you requested, a message indicating that you can't access the page you requested, or a message informing you that your login information is incorrect. Apache and Nginx are popular open source web servers used in modern web development today. Drupal stores user-generated content, user information, and configuration settings in a database. So a database is required to install Drupal. Drupal supports MySQL, MariaDB, and PostgreSQL by default. These are all open source relational databases. For our Drupal installation, we'll be using MariaDB. Composer is a PHP dependency manager. Modern applications today, including Drupal, depend on other software and libraries. Basically, people don't build everything from scratch anymore. Instead, they use software built by other developers as building blocks. Composer helps Drupal manage hundreds of these dependencies. It ensures that the exact versions of these dependencies are used by the specific Drupal version being installed. It also manages the auto-loading of classes and libraries for Drupal. Other programming languages also have dependency managers. For instance, Python has pip, JavaScript has npm, and Java has Maven. Let's see how some of these tools work together when building a Drupal website on your local computer. To develop a website using Drupal, you need to download and install the Drupal software. For Drupal version 7, you could simply download the software from the Drupal website. However, for Drupal 10, you need to use Composer to download Drupal. Composer will download Drupal 10 and manage all its dependencies. You can't install Composer without PHP, so first you need to download and install PHP. Once PHP is installed, you can then install Composer and use it to download Drupal. After downloading Drupal, you need to install it before you can start building your website. To install Drupal, you need PHP, a web server, and a database. You already have PHP installed, so you need a web server and a database. For a web server, you can use a couple web servers including Apache, Nginx, and PHP's built-in web server. For a database, Drupal supports MySQL, MariaDB, and PostgreSQL by default. Now you're ready to install and build a Drupal website on your local computer. When you're done building your website and ready to show it to the public, you need to upload your Drupal files to the web server of your web hosting company. Most web hosting companies support PHP-based websites, so they should already have a web server and PHP installed for you. You just need to know where to upload your Drupal files on their system so their web server can find them when someone tries to view your website. Let's quickly go over how some of these technologies work together when someone tries to browse your publicly available Drupal website. On the left is a user trying to perform some action on a Drupal website. The Drupal website is available on a remote server managed by a web hosting company. Imagine the user tries to visit the homepage of this website built with Drupal. The user enters the URL into their browser, and the browser sends out a request for the web page that the user has entered. This request goes through the internet and the web server receives the request. Since this Drupal website was built using PHP, the web server sends this request to the PHP interpreter to process it. PHP processes the request. Part of the processing may involve interacting with the database to validate or retrieve information regarding the page being requested. When PHP is done processing the request, it generates a response and sends this back to the web server. The web server sends this response to the user's web browser, and the browser displays the information to the user.